Imagine a scenario that keeps defense planners awake at night. It is the middle of January in the Canadian high Arctic. Temperatures have dropped to -40 degrees. A foreign adversary has launched a surprise strike on our main airbases. The runways at Cold Lake and Bagotville are cratered and burning. Our entire air defense network is paralyzed. But deep in the frozen wilderness, a small squadron of fighters is still fighting. They are not operating from a heated hangar or a billion-dollar facility. They are taking off from a snow-covered stretch of the Trans-Canada Highway. They land, refuel, and rearm in less than 20 minutes. And they are back in the air before the enemy even knows they are there. This is not a scene from a movie. This is the capability that Canada needs to survive a modern war. But here is the terrifying truth. The plane I just described is not the one we are buying. The Canadian government is about to spend $70 billion over the life cycle of a fleet that cannot do what I just described. We are buying the F-35 Lightning II, a jet that is widely considered the most advanced fighter in the world. But it is also the most fragile, the most expensive, and the most ill-suited for the harsh reality of the Canadian North. We are making a mistake of historic proportions. We are buying a Ferrari to drive off-road in a blizzard, and we are paying for it with your money. Welcome to the story of the David versus Goliath reality. Today, we are going to look past the marketing brochures and the political speeches. We are going to look at the cold, hard numbers. And we are going to ask the question that no one in Ottawa wants to answer. Why are we buying a weapons system that we cannot afford to fly and cannot afford to lose? Let's start with the money. The sticker price of the F-35 deal has just jumped to $28 billion. That is the acquisition cost alone. But in the world of military procurement, the purchase price is just the tip of the iceberg. The real financial killer is the cost per flight hour. This is the metric that determines whether an air force can actually train its pilots and patrol its skies. According to the US Government Accountability Office, the F-35 costs roughly $42,000 for every single hour it spends in the air. That is nearly 60,000 Canadian dollars. Every time a pilot pushes the throttle, you are burning the annual salary of a nurse or a teacher. Now, let's look at the alternative that was pushed aside, the Saab Gripen E. The Gripen was designed with one philosophy in mind: cost efficiency and lethality. Its cost per flight hour is estimated between $4,000 and $7,000. Do the math. For the cost of flying one F-35 for an hour, you can fly 6 or 7 Gripens. This means our pilots could fly more often, they could train harder, they could patrol our vast borders every single day without bankrupting the Department of National Defense. With the F-35, we will be forced to ration our flight hours. We will have the most advanced jets in the world, but we won't be able to afford to fly them. They will sit in hangars, looking expensive and scary, while our pilots lose their edge. This is not defense. This is a vanity project. But the financial argument is only the beginning. Let's talk about the environment where these jets have to operate. Canada is not Arizona. We do not have pristine, dry, desert air bases. We have ice, salt, gravel, and extreme cold. The F-35 is a stealth aircraft. Its stealth comes from a specialized, radar-absorbing coating on its skin. This coating is incredibly sensitive. It requires climate-controlled hangars to maintain. It degrades when exposed to harsh elements. Every time an F-35 flies, it needs hours of maintenance to ensure that stealth coating is intact. Now imagine trying to maintain that delicate skin in a temporary shelter in Iqaluit during a blizzard. It is a logistical nightmare. The Gripen, on the other hand, was built by Sweden, a country that understands winter just as well as we do. The Swedes designed the Gripen to live outdoors. It does not rely on a fragile skin for its survival. It relies on an advanced electronic warfare suite that lives inside the plane. It is rugged, it is tough. It is built to be serviced by conscripts in the middle of a forest. This brings us to the most critical tactical difference. The concept of dispersed operations. In a war with a near-peer adversary like Russia or China, the first things to be destroyed will be the runways. Fixed airbases are big, stationary targets. Missiles will wipe them out in the first hour of conflict. If your planes need a 3,000-meter pristine runway to land, your Air Force is grounded. The F-35 needs those long, clean runways. It needs a massive support crew. It needs specialized equipment that can only be found at major bases. If Cold Lake is hit, the F-35 seconds are stuck. The Gripen is different. It was designed specifically to operate from road bases. A standard 2-lane highway is all it needs. A small team of 5 technicians and 1 truck can rearm and refuel a Gripen in less than 20 minutes. They can move from location to location, hiding in the forests, striking from unexpected angles. This is guerrilla warfare in the sky. And for a country as massive and empty as Canada, it is the only strategy that makes sense. We cannot defend the entire Arctic with a handful of bases. We need fighters that can operate from anywhere, from remote mining strips, from northern highways, from rough, icy patches of concrete. The Gripen can do that. The F-35 cannot. So why did we choose the F-35? The proponents will tell you it is about stealth. They say that in modern warfare, if you are not invisible, you are dead. They argue that the F-35 can slip through enemy radar and take out targets before it is even seen. And against certain threats, that is true. The F-35 is a sniper. But here is the counter-argument. Stealth is not an invisibility cloak. Radar technology is advancing every day. Quantum radar and low-frequency arrays are already beginning to spot stealth aircraft. By the time the F-35 is fully operational in Canada, its primary advantage may already be obsolete. The Gripen takes a different approach. Instead of trying to hide, it blinds the enemy. Its electronic warfare system is arguably the best in the world. It jams enemy radar. It creates ghost targets. It confuses missile guidance systems. In NATO exercises, Gripens have managed to kill Typhoons and F-16 seconds without ever being detected, simply by using electronic jamming. It is the difference between wearing camouflage and throwing sand in your opponent's eyes. Both keep you safe, but one is much cheaper and more adaptable. And adaptability is key. The software on the Gripen is designed like a smartphone. You can update the apps without changing the operating system. New threats emerge? Upload a new jamming algorithm. Done. The F-35 runs on millions of lines of code that are tightly controlled by Lockheed Martin and the Pentagon. Updating the software is a massive, bureaucratic process that takes years. In a rapidly changing war, speed of adaptation wins. And right now, the nimble underdog is faster than the bloated giant. Let's look at who else is buying the Gripen. Brazil, a country with a massive territory and diverse geography, chose the Gripen over the F-18 and the Rafale. Why? Because they wanted technology transfer. They wanted to build the planes themselves. They wanted to own the intellectual property. Sweden agreed. Now, Embraer in Brazil is manufacturing Gripens. They are building a domestic aerospace industry around it. Canada could have had the same deal. Saab offered to build a factory in Canada. They offered to give us full control over the technology. This would have revitalized Bombardier and our entire aerospace sector. Instead, we chose to be a branch plant for Lockheed Martin. We will manufacture parts for the F-35, sure, but we will never own the jet. We will never know its deepest secrets. We will always be a client, not a partner. This brings us back to the David versus Goliath analogy. Goliath was big, heavily armored, and carried expensive weapons. David was small, mobile, and used a simple tool with deadly precision. Goliath lost because he was slow and arrogant. David won because he understood the battlefield. Canada is trying to be Goliath, but we do not have Goliath's budget. The United States can afford to waste billions on a program like the F-35 because they have a massive military economy. If a few planes are grounded, they have thousands more. Canada is buying 88 jets. That is it. If 10 of them are down for maintenance and 10 are too expensive to fly, we have lost a quarter of our Air Force. We need reliability. We need numbers. We need a plane that works every single time we turn the key. Imagine a future crisis in the Arctic. Russian bombers are testing our airspace. We scramble our F-35 seconds, but wait. The data link server is down for a software update from the Pentagon, or the specialized heating units for the stealth coating have failed in the -50-degree weather, or we simply ran out of budget for flight hours this month. The Russians would laugh at us. Now, imagine the Gripen scenario. We have dispersed our fleet to 10 different remote locations across the Yukon and Nunavut. Radars pick up the threat. Within minutes, jets are launching from highways and small municipal airports. They use their electronic warfare suites to jam the Russian communications. They intercept, escort, and return to base. They are refueled by a few guys with a fuel truck and are ready to go again in 20 minutes. That is deterrence. That is real power. Real power is not about the price tag of your toy. It is about whether it works when you need it. The F-35 is a technological marvel, no doubt, but it is a fragile marvel. It is a hangar queen that demands to be treated like royalty. The Gripen is a workhorse. It asks for nothing but fuel and a pilot. So why is our government forcing this decision down our throats? Because of momentum, because of pressure from Washington, because admitting that a smaller, cheaper plane is actually better would be a humiliation for the military establishment. They want the Cadillac because it looks good in the driveway, even if they can't afford the gas, even if it gets stuck in the snow. But as taxpayers, we have the right to demand better. We have the right to demand value. We have the right to ask why we are spending $70 billion on a system that makes us dependent and vulnerable. There is still a way to fix this. It is called the mixed fleet. Military analysts have suggested this for years. Buy a small number of F-35 seconds for specialized missions where stealth is absolutely necessary. Maybe 20 of them. Keep Washington happy. Stay in the club. But for the backbone of our Air Force, for the daily grind of patrolling the second-largest landmass on Earth, buy the Gripen. Buy 60 Gripens. Build them in Canada. Save billions of dollars in operational costs. Use that money to buy drones, better radar, and more ammunition. That is the smart play. That is what a serious country would do. But right now, we are not acting like a serious country. We are acting like a rich teenager with a credit card, buying the most expensive thing in the store to impress our friends. The consequences of this decision will last for 40 years. If we get this wrong, we will be paying for it for generations. And worst of all, we will be less safe. The Gripen E is the plane Canada needs. It is the plane our geography demands. It is the plane our budget can support. It is the plane that gives us true sovereignty. David defeated Goliath because he refused to play by Goliath's rules. He chose the weapon that fit his strengths. Canada needs to stop trying to be a mini superpower. We need to embrace who we are, a vast, rugged, northern nation that needs vast, rugged, northern solutions. The F-35 is a symbol of American dominance. The Gripen could be a symbol of Canadian resilience. The choice should be obvious, but in Ottawa, common sense is the rarest commodity of all. We are watching a slow-motion disaster. Billions of dollars are about to be locked into a system that will bleed us dry. And when the next crisis comes, and our shiny jets are stuck on the ground because of a software glitch or a frozen sensor, we will remember this moment. We will remember that we had a choice. We could have chosen the smart fighter, the fighter that scares the enemy, not the accountant, the fighter that flies from the road, not the showroom. It is time to wake up. It is time to look at the numbers. And it is time to demand a defense policy that is based on reality, not fantasy. What do you think? Is the F-35 worth the cost, or is it a massive mistake? Should Canada look at the Gripen as a real alternative? Let us know in the comments below. And if you want to see more honest analysis about where your tax dollars are going, make sure to subscribe. We will keep digging into the stories the government doesn't want to tell. Thanks for watching.